Hey guys, let's do it. We're going to do homework 1-3, and this is workbook page 17 through 24, textbook 22 to 25. So you should be working through this work, double checking your answers based on the videos, and then scanning examples 1, 2, 3, 4, questions 9 through 15, although you can skip 13 and 14 if you want. Questions 22 and 23, right? And then questions 26 and 27. So let's get to it. Let's do some notes here, or looking at our notes. What do we got? It says question number 9. Point K is 1/n of the way there from J 4, 9 to L 0, -7. Okay, 4, -5, 0, -7. So I said in class, algebra is hard here, but I think I can do this with graph paper. So if you have some graph paper, or just sketch it out on a piece of notebook paper, 4, -5, 0, -7. 4, -5, 0, -7. 4, -5. 0, -7. Then they said, what would you do if you wanted to go 1/n of the way there? And n happens to be 4. So let's figure that out. What's 1/4 of the way there? Okay, so 4, -5. So 4, -5. If this is my origin, like I said, I did 4, -5, and then 0, -7. 0, -7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so there's my 2 points. I'm probably labeling them the wrong names, but that shouldn't matter. And I only want to go 1/4 of the way there. So this is kind of cool because I don't really need to do math if I can cut the x in force and the y in force. And that's actually pretty easy to do. So in the x, I'm going a journey of 4. So to cut 4 in force is pretty easy. So that would cut it in force. And then vertically, I can cut it in force by just cutting the first block in half and the second block in half. So I believe that this is my location right here. That's my point I'm looking for. That would be 1/4 of the way there. So let's try to read that coordinate. That would be my answer. So my answer would be the coordinate 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So final answer, 1, -6.5. Okay. So let's take a look. Yeah, so 1, -6.5. What is the formula for the coordinates of K for any n? So let's, using our notes from, I believe this was example 2 in our notes, we know the formula for K for any n is 1 over the fraction, right? Or, well, I guess the fraction could be 3/4, so it's not just 1 over, but if my fraction is 1 over n, and then the distance we travel in the x, so I just subtract the 2 x values, right? And that's my horizontal. That's what we talked about today. And my vertical would be the formula, 1 over n times how much did I change in the y. But then I'm not done unless I'm starting from the origin. So notice in our notes, we always had to add back in this last coordinate. So we're going to have to come up with an answer and then add back in that last coordinate. So let's do that. So I'm going to subtract my 2 x values, 4 minus 0. Okay, so I get 1 over n times 4, which is the same as 4 over n. But then remember, I'm going to add in my first coordinate in the x, 4. Okay, so that's my first value. And then in my vertical, I'm going to subtract the y values. So 1 over n, subtract -5 and -7. So they're 2 apart. on a number line. -5 minus a -7 is 2. So 1 over n times 2 is the same thing as 2 over n. And I'm going to add back in my x or my y coordinate. Ooh, so when I add a negative, it's the same as subtract. So -5. So I've done it. This is my x coordinate here, and that's my y. So I'm going to build this into what it makes it look like more of a coordinate. 4 over n plus 4. 2 over n minus 5. All right, that was tough. So some students are like, well, some of these are so tough, I wouldn't have been able to do this without the notes. So think of it as just an extension of class. Sometimes our homework is to take some more notes. Okay, now this one you should definitely be able to do. It says, describe and correct the error that a student made finding midpoint. So we used a 4-step process. We used a formula. So looking at our notes for question example 1, we add the x values, divide by 2, and then we add the y values and divide by 2. So let's see if they did that. My x value is -4 and -1. So did they add -4 and -1? Oops, no, they didn't. So I think we found the error already. They should have added the x and the y values, but they subtracted. So we can fix it. Let's do that. Because it says, then correct the error. So we're going to go ahead and come in here and go, whoop, let's just fix that on up. -4 plus a -1 is a -5, divide by 2. And 5 plus a -4 is 1. So we can leave our answer like that, or if you like leaving answers in decimals, that'd be 2.5 and 0.5. Final answer. Good job, guys. Now let's take a look at 11. Okay, so on 11, it says, mathematically, if point M, that's weird, they gave us the answer, so we're kind of working backwards. If the midpoint is 3, 5, can you determine the value of A? Okay, I think I can, but it's a lot of algebra. Most of us are not, we're out of practice. So let's give ourselves a little bit of time to practice some algebra. Our formula is the same, right? We're finding the midpoint. I see in my vocab word midpoint, right? So I know I'm going to add my x values. So here's one x value and here's another x value, and they're letters instead of numbers. So that's why it's algebra. So let's add those two together. Add the two x values, 2a and b plus 1. And then we're going to divide by 2. And now we're going to add the two y values. So 3b plus 1 plus 3 and a plus 2. Add those together. And divide by 2. Okay, so we have our coordinate, and we're actually given the answer, right? We know that this is the midpoint formula, and we also know that the midpoint is equal to 3, 5. So we technically know that this yucky stuff right here has to equal 5, and this yucky stuff has to equal 3. And that's what algebra does for us. We can set these equal to each other and solve. So 2a plus b plus 1 over 2 has to equal 3. And now we can multiply 2 on both sides and get 2a plus b plus 1 is 6. Now we can clean this up even more. I can subtract 1 on both sides and I get 2a plus b is 5. Okay, now that's not my answer, but I can get an answer from there. Now let's repeat with the other y coordinate. So 3b, and I've got 3 plus another 2. So we'll combine that to make 5. And I still have an a here. So if I divide by 2, I know that stuff is supposed to combine to make 5. So using a similar strategy, I want to get rid of this 2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. And we have 3b plus 5 plus a is 10. Okay. So if I subtracted 5 on both sides, I can get this just a little bit cleaner. 3b plus a is 5. Now notice I'm trying to solve for A. So this is called system of equation from algebra. I can substitute something in for A if A is equal to a clump of stuff. So I'm pretty close to that. If I subtract 3B here on both sides, I could put A is now by itself on the left, and I have 5 minus 3B. Now I can substitute this stuff in where I see the letter A, but that's not going to help me solve for B. Okay, so I'm going to take a few steps back here. That's maybe not what I wanted. What I want is I want to solve for A. So I'm going to put in the end. So I'm going to actually solve for B. In order to do that, I'm going to need to subtract 2A on both sides so that I have B is equal to 5 minus 2A. Yeah, that's what I want, because I want to substitute that in and have only A's left over, and that way I'll be able to solve for A. Okay, so I'm ready. I have 3 times B, and B is actually all this stuff, so I'm going to substitute that in, plus A equals 5. Okay, so now I'm going to distribute that. A lot of algebra here, right? 6A plus another A is 5. Okay. So I can combine these two, right? 15 minus a 5A is 5. Ooh, I'm getting so close. Okay, let's subtract 15 on both sides. So I get negative 5A is negative 10. Ooh, almost there. Divide by a negative 5 on both sides, and I get A is equal to positive 2. I've done it. They wanted me to solve for 2. Now, I could plug all this back in and check my work, but I tell students only check your work if you have time. So check out the next video for the next set of questions.